Hello everyone, my name is Beckett and welcome back to the channel. And today in Division 2 we are going to be covering the recent developer podcast, going over everything that we know so far that's going to be coming up in the next patch, which will be TU12 along with Season 4. We have a lot of good stuff, new global events, new vendors, new brand set, new exotics. So we're going to go through everything, but before we get started, if you enjoy the content, smash that subscribe button, and if you enjoy the video or it helped you out, hit that like button. It really helps. We're small, but we're getting bigger and bigger every day. Alright, so first thing, let's hop into some bug fixes that recently went out. So the control point supply rooms are fixed. So if you didn't know, there were problems where we would just clear control points and we just couldn't open the box, and it was a huge waste of the time. I wish they would have gave the player base something back, give us some crafting caches or something, at least just something to make up for all that lost time and lost gear. We also have the summit objectives and the elevator is fixed. So if you got stuck in the elevator, I did not witness that yet, but I really have been staying out of the summit. It's kind of boring right now. Hopefully with these new additions, it's going to get a lot more interesting. Now we have TU12 coming and we have new weapons, new gears, new brand sets, and new exotics. Now, first, let's hop into some of the new systems coming into Division 2. We have a new global event. We don't really know anything yet, but they said they're going to release more information on the next day of the game, which will be next week. But really, if we have any game modes or any activities, we just want survival, bring that back. You don't even have to do anything. Copy, paste, put it in Division 2. We will be happy. We also have the optimization station coming back, and I did a full video on a breakdown on that, but basically it's going to give us another chance to upgrade an attribute on our gear. So we'll be able to re-roll a piece and upgrade another attribute, basically making it a little easier to get those god rolls. So if you want to check that video out, go ahead and click on that link. They're also adding in new systems into the summit. We're going to get a challenge system. It's going to have two different paths. There's going to be a short-term goal path where you're going to do simple things like get kills with the SMG, clear floors, throw grenade kills, things like that. And then we're going to have a larger long-term goal that we're going to complete throughout our ascent up to floor 100. So it may kill rogues, make named enemies, whatever it may be, and we'll do those. And now it has different rewards from XP to specialization points, caches, materials. Only downside is we do not get any named items from this, but we will get named caches from another source. So I'm going to get into that in just a second. Now, when it comes to rewards, we're always going to get the XP rewards, but the other ones like specialization points, caches, material caches, season caches, they are going to be rotating. So you won't always get the same thing. It's just something to break up the monotony a little bit, because there is plenty of monotony in that skyscraper. Also, the challenges will always reset when you complete the summit, but any challenges not completed will carry over their progress. Honestly, a great system. It rewards people for completing the summit, as well as you're not punishing any player for just not completing that or not progressing that, so you don't have to stay on a floor or not progress. Now, this is just a wonderful idea because it's great for those people, those no-lifers like me, who just want to grind out, get all those challenges done, and complete the floor and reset and do it all over again. And it also caters to that casual base where they're not really being pushed back or just left back there because they don't have enough time to grind 5 or 6 hours in Division just to bust out all their challenges and get all these extra rewards. Now, not only are we getting rewards for completing the challenges, there will also be different milestones for each challenge, which is nice, and I can't really complain. So every 10th challenge, you are going to get a blueprint and specialization points. Now, if we don't have that, I assume hopefully they're going to give us something else, maybe just more XP, just a boost on the XP. We will also get the new exotic assault rifle after 5 of those completed, named cache at 20 and exotic at 30. So this gives us that extra avenue where we could ideally farm named caches, because there's really no other way to just straight up where we can just continually farm and always get named caches. It's going to take a while, but it will be worth it if you, especially if you are just looking for that perfect item. And with optimization station coming in, it's just going to make it so much easier to get those god rolls. Now, we are also getting commendations into this too. It's just an extra little cosmetic, a patch saying, oh, we've been hustling in the summit. I like it. These small things, it doesn't affect gameplay, but it's something that we can actually earn in game and we don't have to spend our own cash on it. Now, Massive's not done yet. They're also adding in some new quality of life summit changes, which are really great, and I'm actually a good fan of this. So we are now going to receive targeted loot reward every third floor or checkpoint, making it on par with end of mission rewards. So what I mean is whenever you kill that named boss at the end of the mission, you always get like 4 or 5 drops. So it's going to make it a little more worth it. And since you can do ideally 3 or 4 floors within 10 minutes in a solo environment, if you're in a group, you should be pushing them out a lot faster. But solo, it makes it worth it to stay inside the summit instead of just running random missions on heroic. Now, they also made some changes to the Summit project. Before, you had to clear just floor 100, and I guess some people were having trouble, and I don't blame you. There were some weeks where I just didn't finish the project. So now, all we have to do is complete 30 floors. This will be nice. So on Tuesday, when you do your resets, you could honestly just go in after the patch goes and just put it on normal or something, run through, get your exotic cache, and get your name cache, and be done. And if you don't want to spend no more time in there, it's all good for the game. We're also receiving a new directive called Ragers. And now this really reminds me of, I think it's like the Enraged one from the WoW Mythic Plus. I don't know if we have any WoW players in here, but I love the way they're going with these directives. They need to be affixes, like making it a little bit harder as well as more rewarding. So whenever you kill an enemy nearby NPCs, all of them will get enraged. When fully enraged, they will start overhealing. This can be countered though by killing enraged enemies. This will remove the rage from all nearby enemies. So ideally, you're gonna want to just switch automatically to whatever that enraged target, kill it, so you can, calm everybody down. It's election time, everyone's a little heated, so let's just calm down and just put that all away. We don't need to be mad. So that's a nice counter. I love it. There should always be a counter for directives. It just shouldn't be like, oh, here you go. Here's a ton of bricks slapped right on your face. Now, we also have some changes to the objectives in the summit. We are going to be seeing a lot less drones. Thank God. I hate having to switch to my EMP every second or third floor. It's just too much. It messes with the flow of the gameplay, and I just hate the drones. I think everybody can agree with that. As well, we are going to be running into more rogues on all difficulties, and the cooldown has been shortened for regular difficulties. On legendary, it is still the same cooldown, but you have a better chance of running into them. Now, we're also seeing a much needed change to turrets. The turrets will now be redeployable. Now, what does that mean? So whenever you use a turret, let's say I throw it in the wrong place, it's in a bad spot, or I throw it and then your team wipes the whole thing, and now I have to wait 20-30 seconds for my turret to come back on cooldown. Now, if I was throw it, whatever my duration was, let's say I let it stay out for half the duration, I can go pick it up and my cooldown will be reduced by half. This is a great change, and we've been asking for this for a long time because, turrets, they're sometimes crazy. You put them in a bad spot or you put it out too late. You just never know. This is a much needed quality of life change. Also, overall UI improvement for sorting mods, but we also need more improvements for the UI. Currently, it is very messy. It's not game breaking or just hard to find things. Well, it's a little hard to find things, but when you slap years of systems into a UI, it tends to get a little janky. Now, in my opinion, I say just give LUI to Division 2. Like, I hate that you can only move a couple pieces of UI. Either don't let us move the UI or let us move everything. You can't go half-ass on that one. As I mentioned, we have a new global event, but we don't have any details. Hopefully we get more details next week. But with the global events, we are now going to be receiving a global event vendor. You're going to be able to buy every type of cache except name caches. I think you can even buy the exotic caches. So what it's going to do is going to make it rewarding to stay inside those global event modifiers, because you'll keep getting badges or stars, whatever currency it is, and you can take it to the vendor and buy name caches, season caches, crafting materials, whatever it may be. It just gives that option, so you're just like, you don't run that 2 hours and you never do it. And that's a kind of a big problem with Division 2 global events. There's no reason to do it past getting your name cache. At least for me, I do the name cache and I'm done. move on to the next thing. They are also going to be buffing Bighorn. Now, before your pants get wet, do not get excited. They just increased the magazine size to 40, and I don't think this is going to really have an overall effect in the meta. Otherwise, it's just going to make the gun more consistent when it's in its assault rifle mode, and that's about it. It will just put it on par, but honestly, it probably should be like buffed. If it's something you can only get in Legendary, I just feel it should have that like triple threat where you just destroy enemies. Kind of the same thing with the Eagle Barrier. It should have meaning. It should be like a legendary weapon. Now, they also brought up NPC bounce, and if you're not sure what that is or why everyone's complaining about the NPCs, a lot of people think they got buffed back to the 9.1 values where they were super beefy. They did a lot of damage, and I really do not think that is true, and they said they have not touched it. Now, before you call me a shill, let me explain myself. I just don't think the NPCs are more deadlier than they were before, but I think the builds and the meta has shifted this season significantly and changed from where we were running. We were running mid-range AR builds, pestilent builds, or status effect builds where we were never worried about dying. We just pop it out, or we just sit in the back, and we never really get damaged or die that much. There were people running close-range AR builds, but it was far and few between. Now everybody is running Hunter's Fury and Ridge Waste 24/7, which puts us in situations where we are in more of a risk of dying constantly. It's not that complicated. We just noticed it more when we were like taking a million bullets to the face with these Hunter Furies builds. Now they might have changed it, but until somebody brings some kind of evidence forward that can prove it, I'm just going to have to side with the developers and say that we've been running too much HF and taking a lot of damage that we are not used to. But that is it for the update. We are going to have another podcast, I believe, next week, and I'm going to go over all that stuff. If you're interested in builds, I will leave a link in the description. Go ahead and check out my channel. I have a lot of video tutorials, guides, like I said, builds. Check those out. They're not always meta, but they're always fun. You guys have a great day, and I will see you next time.